So, as a JoJo connoisseur, you won't hear me say that again anytime soon. I failed French. I've been waiting for the next large game. It got to a point where I just play the older games and sit in suspense for mods. I've talked about all that I want to see on stream, but I don't think I've ever made a full-fledged video on it. That's why I want to go over my ideal roster. But before we do, a small percentage of the people that watch me are subscribed. So if you do frequently watch my content, you should subscribe. But now, the roster.
Un momento.
Ooh, oh, right. Whew. Right. So the characters present here will be from parts 1 through 8. So, you get it. So let's get the basics out of the way. What's a JoJo game without the JoJos? Jonathan Joestar, Joseph Joestar, Jotaro Kujo, Josuke Higashikata, Giorno Giovanna, Jolene Kujo, Johnny Joestar, and Josuke Higashikata. 8 are all instant picks. Next, what's JoJo's without the antagonist? Dio Brando, part 1. Cars, Dio, part 3. Yoshikage Kira, Diavolo, Enrico Pucci, Funny Valentine, and Toru? I guess that's what's happening here. Originally, I wanted it to be The Wonder of You alone, but I don't think that would be really bad to have Toru, I guess. Well, most likely because we're going to have access to special interactions because of this. Maybe we'll even get some sort of dramatic finish type of stuff for everyone mentioned so far. So now that we've cleared out the easiest additions, let's get to everyone else. Phantom Blood. I think it goes without saying that we need William Zeppeli. You need the original Zeppeli. Looking at the rest of the characters in Phantom Blood, though, I feel like you don't need anyone else. There's certain characters like Tarkus and Bruford that you'll just see better characters with more moves to pull from in compared to these guys. So I think that we're done here. Also, yeah, I don't think I'm adding Speedwagon as his own individual character. It makes a lot of sense in a game like Eyes of Heaven where everyone can just essentially live with half of a moveset compared to something like Heritage for the Future or AllStar Battle. But if I want a full-fledged moveset, I think the only way that I'd be able to add Speedwagon is if it's not just him, but I guess the entire Ogre Street crew, making him a minion character, puppeteer, or something like that. Next, Battle Tendency. Now, you have a couple of great picks here. Caesar Zeppeli, of course. You can't live in a world without Wanwu in it. Lisa should definitely play a part. And then you have AC/DC. Now, this is an interesting case here, actually. Ultimate Cars has enough to make him a separate character from regular Cars. But now, would I do that? No. No, I don't think I will. I like the approach that AllStar Battle had taken, with Ultimate Cars being something you can level up to and just unlock this new way of playing Cars. In a competitive sense, I think you would have to learn Ultimate Cars specific things, but that just comes with having a character that has like this level up thing to it, and that exists in fighting games. I think we're done here though, because parts 1 and 2 make this picking stuff easy. It's the parts after where we get into these puzzling territories. Next, Stardust Crusaders. Now, I think we still have some clear picks here. Kakyoin, Polnareff, Avdol, Iggy, and Old Joseph. As for the minor antagonist picks, though, I think that Heritage for the Future had a great set of characters. My first pick would definitely be Vanilla Ice. A huge second pick, Pet Shop. And my last debatable two are Duel and Whole Horse. On the note of Whole Horse, I like the duo of him and Boingo more than the original Whole Horse and Jail Guile combo. As for Duel, I believe that he needs a second chance in a game. See, Eyes of Heaven was weird. I think in a traditional fighter he'd do fine. I think that Geb could do all the work, but it would just be cool to see them incorporate Duel into the fighting. Though I think that would be a custom moveset, like say starts fighting with his cane or something like that. That I'm not against that. Custom movesets are cool, though if we're opening the idea of custom moveset, that makes the Speedwagon thing a lot more probable. I think that's all for the minor antagonists in Stardust Crusaders though. Next, Diamond is Unbreakable. Now, what's part 4 without the main boys? Okuyasu and Koichi. Free guarantees. I'd also easily add Rohan Kishibe and Yukako Yamagishi. As for the other characters that were minor antagonists, well, there are many to choose. Well, not many I think I'd see in a fighting game. My choices are Akira Otoshi and Shigechi. AllStar Battle had good picks here, in this case, I believe. Most people would think to put in Keicho Nijimura, but I think if we're going to pick a colony stand, Shigechi is the more malleable stand in this case. Though, in an ideal situation, let's say we do include Keicho, I'll probably try to see if I can set a character amount limit in the end, and we can get rid of the extra characters. As for the final person, I'm adding Baitsuda's Kosaku Kira, and that's just a need when it comes to part 4, like you have to have him. As for part 4 Jotaro, I think it would just be better that he just be a skin. It's like with no real reason to just make him a whole character where just, oh, time stop is just shortened. Like that's, come on, let's not do that. Diamond is Unbreakable is now done. Golden Wind. We got a bunch of great characters to work with here. On our side of our protagonist, Giorno, we have Bruno Bucciarti, Narancha Girga, Guido Mista, Panakata Fugo, and Trish Una. Maybe I butchered it, who knows? Now some may say, well, how is Trish going to work? I know that with a stand like Spice Girl, you can do something like removing hit stun from opponents' attacks, and that's just a wild mechanic. Like that just seems sick to just, oh, it's punching right through you. But it's not an unbeatable one, since like in fighting games, you know, you'll be able to cancel your moves into supers. So doesn't that sound like fun? You know, some mind games. Also, Fugo not being in a game is criminal. I'm going to put Fugo in here. They kind of have to. Poison, it's a sick mechanic, and we need it. Now, as for the minor antagonists, there are a good few that I'd want. My picks being Gyachao, Risotto Nero, and Chocolata and Secco. Now, what I mean by Chocolata and Secco, I see the two working together like Swamp Thing and his minions from Injustice 2, or Android 18 and 17 together in Dragon Ball FighterZ, with Chocolata being the main person you control, and Secco being the one that comes out of the ground to get hits in here and there. Now that's some cool stuff to work with here. I also wanted to propose the idea of Prosciutto and Pesci working together, but I think they just work a little too similar to other characters here. Aging would just be some sort of poison mechanic, and Bruno and Jolene can replace Pesci's role with the same amount of range. So, yeah, we're done with Golden Wind. Next, Stone Ocean. Now, there are some easy picks here. Hermes, Anasui, and Weather Report. I want to consider Foo Fighters, but I feel like we shouldn't overdo the whole colony stand thing. As for the minor antagonists, I don't think that there are any that I can see easily incorporated. They work comfortably when it comes to something like the Mugen engine. Like, oh, let's just slap in some stuff together. But I don't think that there's a character that I'd want in a game. Maybe Rikiel, but I'm not sure. As for Pucci, I think it's hard to level up a character twice and have entirely different movesets in all the three forms. Like, doesn't that seem like a bit kind of like out of bounds? I feel like maybe Whitesnake Pucci is alone, and then second Pucci is Sea Moon Pucci, who then turns into Maiden Heaven Pucci. Eyes of Heaven, I guess in that case, that they had the right idea there. I shouldn't be too surprised. You know, there's a first time for everything. I'm kidding. There's a bunch of people that like Eyes of Heaven. I know. Well, it didn't have local multiplayer, so maybe I'm not kidding. Maybe I'm not. So now we are done with Stone Ocean. Rikiel is a maybe, but not now. So let's get on into Steel Ball Run. Giddy up, partner. After we add Gyro, there are some characters we have here that get a lot of talk. One addition that I'd like to see that I've seen in the JoJo builds of Mugen, Blackmore, the stand user of Catch the Rainbow. That is a phenomenal idea, phenomenal addition. I love that. Whoever made the Blackmore build character thing, great job. I'd also like to add Scary Monsters Diego Brando. As for Time Stop Diego Brando, I'd just rather that be some sort of Mortal Kombat variation deal where you can switch it on and off if you want to. It depends on who you want to be playing, you know. I'd like to see Hot Pants here, but I'm not sure how that'd work. I guess that's just something to conceptualize for later. Or if someone wants to do that and send it to me on Twitter, I would love to show that on here if you have an idea as to how Hot Pants would play. But I think that's it for part 7. And finally, JoJolion. Now, since this part is a lot more about story, we don't have the most fighting stuff to work with here. But as for the characters I'd like to see, I'm going to say Joshu, Hato, and Kei Nijimura. I want custom variations and custom skins to create Kira 8 and Carrera from Kira 4 and Yukiko. That's if that'd be possible. That'd be really cool. But if not possible, I guess we just don't see them. Now, we have the potential to add one more character, maybe. I feel like our count is like really deep. But that's for future notice, for the future of JoJolion. Like we can see maybe some crazy DLC or something like that in the future, but let's see the limits we have here. So with how a fighting game would most likely work in our modern day, we're going to have our base roster and then waves of DLC. Dragon Ball FighterZ has about 41 characters right now from what I remember. They already have a lot of their essential characters, including multiple Gokus. So what'd be our rule of thumb here? Well, I'm not sure. If I'm counting correctly, we have 55 characters. I feel like this would only be possible if this game is the only JoJo game for the next 5 to 6 years or something. That's with huge patches and stuff in mind. Games like Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5 have been around for 5 and 4 years, I think. And it looks like they've got at least another 2 on the both of them. And honestly, with how fighting games are going, I might not have to make any cuts. But if I have to take it down to 50 characters from our 55, we'd probably have to remove Akira, turn Kosaku Kira into some sort of variation type of deal. Maybe remove Risotto. Duel probably kicks the bucket, and I don't know. Fusing both Poochies is a possible action, but I don't feel like a character needs 3 stages like that. To have 3 stages where you have completely different specials and after that the whole mechanics of everything just changes up, it's odd. It seems like a lot of work to do that for Poochie, and to make him competitively balanced and fun, all of that would just be a huge feat, and I don't think a lot of developers would be able to take that on right now. But yeah, I think that these would have to be my painful decisions to make. I would really like not to remove any character that I've mentioned, but you know how it goes. The hardest choices require the strongest will. Thank you all for watching. I'll be adding more to this concept in the future. Make sure to leave comments on what you'd personally like to see, and I'll be sure to consider it. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed.